Have you ever not said anything and they still felt everything? One gaze, one pause, one stillness, and all of a sudden, your presence says louder than words ever could. What if I told you that your silence is the most effective weapon you have? Not your voice, your argument, or your comeback. Today, we're going to talk about how saying nothing may hurt, upset, and even control other people while you stay calm, cool, and untouchable. At the end of this video, you'll know why silence isn't just empty, it's a plan. Silence is strength. Respect is silence. Your hidden weapon is silence. Once you learn how to use it, nothing will bother you again. People who use words to hurt you want you to fight back. They want you to respond, defend yourself, or even become angry because that makes them feel good. But when you provide nothing, you hit the hardest. Marcus Aurelius told himself every day not to allow other people dominate his soul. You have power over your mind, not outside events. You will discover strength if you understand this. You don't give them power if you don't react. Being ignored shocks them and makes them less dangerous. It makes them feel bad about themselves. They start to wonder, did I go too far? What made them not answer? Do they even care about me? That silent wound lasts a lot longer than any insult you might have said. This is because people are naturally predisposed to want recognition. Even bad attention can make you feel important in a strange way. Even if you win the argument, you've still fed their demand to be seen. But silence takes away that food. It's like turning off the oxygen to a fire. No matter how hot the flames were, they will die out without air. Anger, if not controlled, is often more harmful to us than the injury that causes it. Seneca stated, "When you ignore someone who is trying to get a rise out of you, you not only damage them by not giving them the attention they want, but you also protect yourself. You stop their mess from becoming your mess. Your silence protects you from their attempts to pull you into an emotional tempest." The truth is that silence makes the person who is being aggressive sit alone with what they said. They keep going over the scene in their heads, picking over every little thing. They thought they could get you to fight, but now they're fighting each other. This pain that you cause yourself might frequently become too much to handle. The individual who sought to disturb your calm ends up disturbing their own. Consider how strong that is. You didn't say anything, which spoke louder than any insult. Epictetus said it best. If someone speaks badly of you, don't defend yourself against his claims. Instead, say, "He must not know me very well, since there are so many other faults he could have mentioned." That statement sums up what indifference is all about. But silence goes even further. It doesn't even bother to give a funny answer. It leaves them feeling empty, and emptiness speaks louder than words. Being ignored is so shocking because it makes a person feel like they have no control. People want to think they can change you, push you, or make you angry. It hurts their dignity when they find out they can't. They start to lose faith in themselves. They want to know if they ever meant anything to you. And in this quiet revelation, they experience an anguish that is much deeper than rage could ever cause. This is why being quiet doesn't mean you're weak. It is not being passive. It is active strength, choosing not to give up your tranquility. Marcus Aurelius lived by this when he said, "When you are angry at someone else's mistake, look at your own mistakes and learn from them. Then you won't be angry anymore." Ignoring them not only takes away their power, but it also reminds you that what they do is not what you do. And here's the strange thing. Quiet may frequently say more than fighting. When you don't say anything, they feel everything. They put their own fears and doubts into the space you leave. They give themselves their own punishment. The hurt is greater because they did it to themselves. Sound is what makes conflict grow. Accusations, debates, and yelling. The louder it is, the more intense it gets. But what about silence? Silence is like taking the rug out from under them. It's psychological warfare because it takes away what the aggressor wants most, your emotional energy. Epictetus said it best. If you want to get better, be happy to be seen as foolish and stupid. Some people may think that staying quiet is giving up, but in reality, it is power disguised as humility. They wear themselves out trying to get to you, yet you stay safe. Imagine someone who is angry with you, yelling at you, calling you names, and trying to force you into the flames. You make their fire stronger if you answer with the same amount of heat. You give them the pleasure of knowing that they have shaken you to your core. But if you stay calm, composed, and quiet, their storm will hit a wall that doesn't move. The difference is embarrassing. Their words fade away, showing how little power they have over your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius once stated, "The best way to deal with anger is to be quiet." He recognized that the best approach to disarm an enemy is not to fight back with anger, but to take it away from them completely. Silence becomes a weapon in warfare, and your enemy thinks they have drawn their blade, only to find out they are hitting shadows. The more they try, the more ridiculous they look, while your quiet pride gets stronger. The main idea of psychological warfare is to let them beat themselves. The manipulator lives for reactions. The bully loves it when people are scared. Drama is what makes the narcissist happy. But when you don't say anything, it's like cutting off their food. They become restless, then desperate, then weak. You don't have to hit back because their own cacophony will get to them. Seneca once said, "The first person to suffer is the one who does wrong because he feels bad about it." Your silence makes this pain worse. If you don't speak up, the person who did wrong will only have their own conscience. They begin to doubt, review, and feel bad about what they did. Did they go too far? Did they seem dumb? What will other people think of them? Their own guilt becomes the punishment, and your failure to interact makes it worse. Psychologists today term this strategy gray rocking, which means not getting emotionally involved. It's a modern version of Stoic wisdom. If you don't give energy, they can't control you. There is nothing for the aggressor to grip onto. Therefore, they can't get into your feelings. You become a rock in a roaring river, and the water crashes around you without touching you. But this doesn't mean you're weak. It is controlled by math. If you don't say anything, you're saying, "I'm not here to play your game." People don't like silence since they don't know what will happen next. They can't read your mind, guess what you'll do next, or be sure that they've hurt you. That uncertainty eats away at them, but you stay cool. Epictetus often told his students that freedom came from inside. No one is free who doesn't control himself. That mastery is shown by silence. You are not a slave to your feelings or your emotions. You decide when and how to reply if you want to. That choice scares the people who think they can control you. Silence in disagreement is not the same as being absent. It's being more present. It is the decision not to lose your cool. It's a gentle way of saying that you won't spend words on people who don't deserve them. It's the best kind of psychological warfare since it makes the attacker hurt themselves while you stay safe. When you stop talking, you leave the other person alone with their thoughts. Being quiet is like holding up a mirror to what they do. Their comments ricochet back at them without your rebuttals or counter-arguments, and a lot of the time, that reverberation is louder in their own head than anything you could have spoken. Seneca said, We suffer more in our minds than in real life. That silence makes the imagination grow. They will keep going over your lack of answer, thinking too much, analyzing, and asking questions. What you didn't say is more important than what you could have said. This is one of the best things about silence. It becomes a spooky presence. People can't help but ask, what did he mean by not saying anything? What is she actually thinking? Why didn't they write back? The empty space becomes their pain. They make up infinite stories to try to figure out what your silence means, and each one is worse than the last. You don't have to come up with smart insults or long explanations. Their imagination will help you. Marcus Aurelius understood this effect of quiet when he observed, "You always have the choice to have no opinion." When you don't speak up, you make others speak up for you. They fill the space with uncertainty, anxiety, and self-criticism. In a nutshell, your silence makes them look inside themselves, instead of fighting with you. Think about how strong that is in fights, relationships, and even negotiations. You can ignore words. A simple no can get rid of a screamed slur. But the silence stays. It can't be ignored because it doesn't have a message, but it does need to be understood. People show their weaknesses when they make that demand. They start to doubt themselves instead of you. Epictetus frequently admonished his students that our pain arises not from events themselves, but from our interpretations of them. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. You give them the responsibility of interpreting what you say when you choose not to say anything. They now have to deal with their own judgments, worries, and guilt that hasn't been handled. You are still free, yet they are still restless. There is also a deeper psychological truth at work here. People don't like not knowing what's going to happen. The brain wants to finish things. When someone attacks or blames you, they want you to react because it closes the loop. That loop is still open because you didn't say anything. The story isn't done yet, and incomplete stories bother the mind. They will think up 1,000 different endings, and most of them will be worse than anything you could have spoken straight. This is why being quiet makes you think. It uses the aggressor's energy against them. They spoke things to you, but since you didn't answer, those remarks bounce back into their own heads. They keep playing the fight over and over, but each time it gets harder. What you didn't say is stronger than anything you could have said. Seneca's wisdom shines through again. Silence is a lesson in itself. If you don't say anything, you offer the other person the chance to learn if they are smart enough. They could see how bad their behaviors are. They might feel the sting of what they said. Or if they can't see themselves, they'll get more and more frustrated, showing everyone how weak they are. In either case, quiet educates. And this is why people are so afraid of stillness. It makes individuals face the reality about themselves, which is what they spend their lives running away from. Anyone can shout back. People can debate, but not everyone can stay still and retain their ground. Being quiet demands self-control. It necessitates self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius always told himself, the best answer to anger is silence. When someone tries to get you angry, it takes courage to stay cool. If you don't give in to their noise, it indicates that you're better than them. People are scared by that calmness. They thought they would get fire, but you gave them stone. They thought you were weak, but you showed them steel. The strength of silence is in holding back. Control is not weakness, it is restraint. It's simple to lash out in anger, even kids can do it. But it takes a lot of strength to be quiet in the storm, and most people never get there. Seneca reportedly said, "A man is as great as the things he doesn't notice." By not saying anything, you are expressing that their insult, attack, or provocation is not worth your time or energy. That choice makes you better than the moment. You ascend above the battlefield when you don't answer. To say no to someone else's terms is a sign of strength. So silence isn't merely the lack of speaking, it's a sign of dominance. It states, I choose not to go down to your level. Think about the most powerful leaders in the past. They weren't the ones that yelled at every problem. They weren't the ones who wasted time and energy on small fights. They were the ones who knew that decency and calmness earn more respect than harsh words ever could. When you are quiet, people pay more attention. When you do talk, your words mean more because you don't throw them away easily. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Silence is the best way to show skill. It's the skill of keeping quiet when you really want to say something. It's strong to walk away instead of getting back at someone. It's smart to know that not every fight is worth fighting. And here's the funny thing. Being quiet doesn't make you invisible. It makes you strong. People will start to respect or even fear you when they see that they can't get you to lose your cool or get you into trouble. The man who is quiet in the room is often the strongest because his strength is implied, not wasted. Being quiet while someone is trying to get you to say something shows that you are in charge of yourself. You don't let someone else take control of your feelings. You don't allow them tell you how to feel. That level of self-control is uncommon, which is why silence is powerful. Every angry phrase you say takes away your power. Every time you feel something, you give up control over it. But silence keeps your strength safe. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The best way to see how well you know yourself is in silence. You keep your vitality by not explaining, justifying, or reacting. You are still hard to predict. They don't know if you're harmed, if you're planning something, or if you're fine. That uncertainty eats away at them, but you stay strong and walk away. Words are like money, and every time you use them to respond to someone else's provocation, you lose money. You let them inside your inner world when you get angry, defensive, or even when you make a logical argument. You lose control every time you try to explain yourself. But silence is a stronghold. It keeps your thoughts to yourself, your feelings safe, and your plans hidden. Marcus Aurelius knew this when he said, "Don't do it if it's not right. Don't say it if it's not true." In other words, speech should serve a purpose and the truth, not your own ego, your own impulses, or someone else's agenda. You safeguard your inner sovereignty by not saying anything when someone tries to provoke you. You are in charge of your energy, and they can't take what you don't give them. Think about how being unpredictable makes you stronger. People are careful around you when they don't know how you'll react. They don't think they can get you to do what they want anymore. That doubt works in your favor. You stay calm and in charge of every circumstance, while silence keeps them off balance. Seneca said, "A man is not poor because he has too little, but because he wants more." In this context, silence means enough. You don't feel the need to protect yourself, react, or prove yourself. That independence keeps your power from fading away. People may push, tempt, or insult you, but they can't get past your calm resolve. Also, being quiet lets you save your energy for fights that really count. Every superfluous response makes it harder to focus and see things clearly. When you don't say anything in small fights, you save your strength for strategic actions, decisions that get results, and times when your voice is really needed. Silence can be a protection in both personal and professional interactions. If you react right away to a coworker's petty criticism or a friend's false accusation, it might sap your energy. You take back your freedom when you choose to be quiet. You decide what warrants your time, energy, and voice. Being quiet might also show that you are confident. It means you don't care what other people think. Marcus Aurelius kept telling himself to only think about things he could change. You keep your mind, emotions, and presence under check by talking less and paying greater attention to what is going on around you. That means that your quiet is not only defensive, but also forceful. It shows that you are in charge without having to fight. Silence protects your power because it stores your energy, keeps you calm, keeps your intentions hidden, and makes you more powerful. You get stronger the less they can take from you. They might try to get you angry, confront you, or trick you, but your silence is your shield, making you impenetrable. People that are proud, arrogant, or manipulative need to be recognized. They want to be the last to speak. They want to win, but when they are met with stillness, their ego falls apart. Seneca said, "Anger is like acid. It can hurt the container more than the thing it is poured on." By not saying anything, you allow their ego devour them from the inside out. They will become angrier, hit harder, and make a fool of themselves while you stay calm. The ego needs reactions to be alive. It is a parasite that feeds on your energy, attention, and praise. The purpose of someone who insults, provokes, or manipulates you is simple. They want to watch you react. Every insult, yell, and accusation is bait, and if you bite, your ego will feel good about itself because it thinks it has control over your feelings. But quiet kills it. The more they attempt to make themselves heard, the less they succeed. Marcus Aurelius says, "When you are angry at someone else's mistake, look at your own mistakes. Then you won't be angry anymore. You deny them the pleasure of seeing you upset by not reacting to them. Your tranquility is safe, and their ego, which was fed by your energy, starts to turn against itself. This works especially effectively with those who are self-centered or manipulative. They want drama, a fight, or at least some recognition. When they don't grasp it, they have to think about it, or even worse, get mad. Their mind starts to wonder why you're not speaking up for yourself. Why isn't he defending himself? What is wrong with her? They typically start to doubt themselves and replay the conversation over and over, seeking to fill the hole left by your quiet strength. Epictetus perfectly summed up this idea when he remarked, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." The most powerful way to dominate someone is to be quiet. You take control of the moment by not giving them the reaction they want. They might try to get a rise out of you, but they won't be able to because you are so calm. Also, silence shows how weak their ego is. The more they try to push you, the more clear it is that their power depends on how other people react. As soon as you stop reacting, their self-image breaks. They might become angry, fight, or even humiliate you, but their own pride is what really hurts them. This plan also has a quiet charm about it. Not only does silence protect you, but it also makes them doubt themselves. They don't get any gratification from what you say. Instead, they are left with nothing but the emptiness of their own unsuccessful attempts to control. In a way, your silence acts like a mirror, showing them how insecure they are. Seneca once said, "Hang out with people who are likely to make you better. When you are quiet, you can distance yourself from others who can't, and their ego will naturally fall apart. You show calm superiority by not giving in to their craving for attention or approval. You don't get caught up in their drama. Instead, you rise above it, calm and untouchable." The ego can't abide stillness because it needs chaos, acknowledgement, and reaction to grow. It gets weaker when you don't give it these things. And by hurting the aggressor's ego, you get the best benefit: mental clarity, emotional power, and control over the situation. Number 7. Silence in relationships. Sometimes silence isn't about winning, it's about respecting yourself. Words lose their meaning at some point in any relationship, whether it's romantic, family, or friendship. It merely tires you out to keep explaining yourself to someone who doesn't listen. When you don't listen to words, they become a kind of giving up. The more you try to explain, the more they can control how you feel and what you do. Here, silence becomes a line. It states, "I won't ask for respect. I won't struggle for love that should come naturally." It talks without being mean. It talks without being afraid. It tells you the reality about how much you are worth. Epictetus said, "If someone says bad things about you, don't defend yourself against their claims. Instead, say, 'He must not know me very well, since there are so many other faults he could have mentioned.'" Silence communicates the same message without saying anything. It reminds others that their opinions, judgments, and attempts to control you don't matter to your tranquility. In love relationships, silence might be good for your mental health. If your partner won't listen to your feelings or keeps crossing your boundaries, any verbal response can be a trap. They might pervert what you say or use what you say against you. You get your power back by not saying anything. You won't negotiate your self-worth, which means they have to either think about it or show how little they care about you. Silence serves as a filter in friendships. You don't have to let everyone read your mind or give you credit. If someone is always draining you, arguing without listening, or putting you down, quiet can help you keep your distance. It saves your energy and makes it clear who respects you and who doesn't. Marcus Aurelius said, "Stop arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Silence lets you live by that principle. You are excellent, steady, and calm without needing anybody else's approval. Family relationships can be hard, since it can feel like you have to do things for them. But even here, silence may change everything. You safeguard your mental and emotional health by avoiding reacting to provocation, criticism, or unnecessary drama. Seneca said, "Hang out with people who are likely to make you better." Silence helps you avoid people who can't help you grow, even if they're relatives. The beauty of silence in partnerships is that it protects your peace while also giving the other person a chance to think. They might feel confused, angry, or even guilty, but those feelings are theirs to deal with, not yours. Your silence doesn't hurt them directly. It only means they can't control your thoughts and feelings. Silence also says that your love, respect, and attention are not things that can be expected. They are offered without charge, on purpose, and with care. If someone doesn't respect that, silence is your strong and respectable response. It shows respect for yourself better than any argument or lecture could. In this sense, silence changes from a technique to protect yourself to a powerful statement. I am not yours to control. You can't get me to do anything. You can't make me less than I am. That realization is life-changing for both you and the other person when it comes to relationships. When you stop talking, people can show you who they really are. Do they appreciate your silence, or do they try harder to get you angry? Do they think about what they did, or do they get even angrier? When things are quiet, the mask comes off, and you can see who a person really is. Silence is like a lens that makes intentions that are usually veiled under words and actions more clear. Marcus Aurelius said, The opinion of 10,000 men is worthless if none of them know anything about the subject. Your quiet cuts through meaningless words and shows the reality. People who can't take your silence were never meant to hear your voice. They show that they are impatient, insecure, or need to be in charge. By not replying, you let their actual selves show through without any filters. This shows you exactly who should be in your circle and who shouldn't. Epictetus stressed how important it is to carefully judge other people. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. If someone can't respect your quiet, it shows that they are arrogant, ignorant, or unable to be humble. By not reacting, you put the responsibility for their behavior back on them. Their answer becomes a mirror that shows not your flaws, but theirs. Silence also tests how loyal and honest you are. A friend who really cares about you would notice how calm you are and respond in a calm way, not with anger. A spouse that loves your respect will stop and think instead of pushing. People that are selfish or want to hurt others show themselves by being impatient, angry, or trying to get you to move. When you don't say anything, the truth speaks for itself. Seneca said, "Hang out with people who are likely to make you better." Silence is a way to judge relationships. It shows you who helps you and who hurts you. When there are no words, actions speak louder than ever. People that act badly when you are quiet were never on the same page as you. They show what they care about without having to listen to what you say. In a lot of ways, silence is like a test of a person's character. People that are noisy, aggressive, or manipulative can't help but push against it, which shows their true colors. On the other side, the patient, the respectful, and the intelligent change and think about things. They are the ones you should pay attention to. By not saying anything, you make sure that only people who respect you can enter your life. There is also a strategic side. By not speaking, you give others a chance to show what they want. They try to fill the emptiness with guesses, plans, or tricks, but this makes them more vulnerable. You don't even have to talk to them to learn everything you need to know about them by what they do to try to provoke, influence, or control you. Marcus Aurelius applied this principle in his own existence. As emperor, he knew that being quiet when someone was trying to get a rise out of him would let others show their loyalty or betrayal. He saw people's actual motives and made better choices by listening more and talking less. Your life isn't an empire, but it follows the same rule. Silence is the lens that makes everything clear for the people around you. In the end, silence reveals intentions because it won't play along. It takes your energy out of their sphere of control and makes them show who they really are. They must either rise to equal your serenity or falter under their own urges. When people don't say anything, the truth comes out easily. Not always does silence signify leaving. Sometimes it involves stopping and allowing the moment's weight to settle in. A well-timed silence might make others trip up in an argument. They rush to fill the gap, which typically shows shame, weakness, or insecurity. That pause is your weapon, quiet but deadly. It makes them face their own statements and deal with the hole that your silence makes. This is an example of a Stoic idea in action. You make space by suppressing your want to talk. That distance makes others show their hand, but you stay hidden and strong. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The effects of anger are much worse than the reasons for it." You stop yourself from acting on impulse by putting in a pause and letting the natural effects of their actions happen. You are no longer part of their chaos. You are the calm eye in the storm. Epictetus frequently asserted that self-discipline was the genuine essence of strength. No man is free who is not master of himself. This mastery is shown by the strategic pause. You take control of the pace of the conversation by waiting, holding back, and not reacting right away. Some people who are impatient or not ready will rush to speak, justify, or fight. When they do this, they show the truth about their motives, faults, or guilt. Think about how it works in your head. People don't like silence by nature. We naturally desire to fill empty spaces with noise, explanations, and defense. This inclination is broken by a delay. It makes people think or panic because it makes them feel tense. The individual in front of you starts to ponder too much, explain too much, and often hurt themselves. Your silence acts as a mirror that shows them their own defects, while your thinking stays calm and clear. Seneca said something similar when he said, "Sometimes even living is an act of courage." It takes guts to stay still when things get heated. Discipline is needed to not give in to the urge to fight back with words. But that courage pays off because it makes you stronger. The person who thought they were going to fight instead faces a vacuum, which, as they say, is unnerving. The strategic pause also keeps your energy safe. You save your emotional and mental energy for times that really count by not responding right away. You don't get into unnecessary debates, and when you do speak, your voice has weight and authority. This is why good leaders, negotiators, and diplomats typically wait until everyone else has spoken before they do. They listen and grasp every little thing. Also, the pause gives you time to carefully think about what you want to say, if you need to say anything at all. Words spoken in haste often show how you feel, make you less authoritative, or make a fight worse. Silence, on the other hand, keeps you calm and gives you time to think. You have both clarity and control because the other person can't guess what you're going to do next. This is called the strategic delay, or active listening principle in modern psychology. By letting quiet last longer, you have a better opportunity of finding out hidden reasons, true feelings, or things that haven't been said. In short, the pause is a way to get information while still being in charge of your own life. Marcus Aurelius personally did this. He often watched before he spoke in council, during arguments, and in tight moments, letting the silence show loyalty, deceit, or clarity. You don't need an empire to learn this lesson. You can take a strategic pause before every disagreement, fight, or negotiation. This gives you the upper hand without ever raising your voice. The strategic pause turns silence from a passive act into a strategic move. It makes them show who they really are, while you stay calm, strong, and untouchable. The pause is your friend. As soon as you resist the impulse to fill it, your presence becomes a quiet but strong force. One of the most potent ways to employ quiet is to leave without saying anything. Walking away says more than any words. It doesn't let the other person move on, win, or be happy. When you silently disengage, you show strength, self-respect, and clarity without saying a word. Seneca once said, "Hang out with people who are likely to make you better." When you leave without saying anything, you are obviously indicating, "This doesn't help me anymore. I leave." That calm leaving hurts more than any loud goodbye because it reveals that your serenity and progress are more important than what they think, how they act, or their drama. You don't want to get stuck in cycles of fighting that wear you out. Silently walking away is the highest level of self-control. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone can show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will gladly change. But not for anyone else's opinion, only for the truth." The quiet exit shows this idea. You don't leave because you're scared, angry, or proud. You leave because the circumstance isn't helping you grow or isn't in line with your principles. You take control of your own life by doing this. The silent leave is much more powerful since people want to be in charge and have closure. People need replies, explanations, or confrontations to feel important. You take away their satisfaction by walking away silently. They are left feeling uneasy, confused, and angry, and your absence typically has a bigger effect on them than any argument you could have made. The message is silence, and your leaving is the statement. Epictetus articulated this concept by stating, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Some people can't be swayed by reason, thought, or conversation. You only squander your energy by talking to them. The silent exit protects you and teaches them at the same time. It keeps your strength while subtly letting them know that your time, attention, and energy are not theirs to control. The silent leave can change things in personal relationships. It means that there are limits and that they will be followed. In poisonous surroundings, it sets a standard. Your presence is important, but not at the cost of your health. It says that you won't fight for recognition or respect forever. Your worth is not up for debate. The silent leave is also a way to get inside someone's head. Your absence makes people think. The one who is attacking may feel bad, confused, or empty. They have to face the fact that your engagement was a gift, not something that was expected. The silent exit, on the other hand, keeps your dignity and leaves the other person to deal with their own conscience. This is better than spectacular confrontations, which might make things worse. Many great leaders and philosophers throughout history have known about this capability. During political intrigues, Marcus Aurelius often preferred to hold back and leave rather than confront others. This let others show their actual motives while he stayed calm. You may also use this approach in everyday life. By leaving without making a scene, you take charge of your story and keep your inner peace. The silent exit is the best way to put Stoic philosophy into action. It is the best way to show that you can manage yourself, make good decisions, and care about yourself. You don't have to explain, defend, or justify. Your leaving alone says what words frequently can't, that your time, energy, and honesty are sacred. People are afraid of things they can't read. People are careful around you while you're quiet. It demonstrates that you are not desperate to be heard, which makes it demand respect. Marcus Aurelius said, "Stop arguing about what a good man should be. Become one." You generate an aura of authority that can't be ignored when you live your values instead of just talking about them. Being quiet shows that you are sure of yourself. If someone often needs to say things to prove themselves, it usually means they are insecure. On the other hand, your quiet presence says that you are calm, centered, and in charge. People can feel this power and change how they act because of it. Because people know your voice is purposeful and not reactive, they become thoughtful, measured, and polite. Epictetus stated, "Being wealthy doesn't mean having a lot of things, it means not wanting much." Silence reflects this philosophy. You don't want other people to validate, approve, or pay attention to you. Your self-control shows that you are valuable on your own, not because other people say so. People know this, and respect comes automatically. The power of silence is most clear in leadership. Leaders who are often reacting or explaining themselves seem unsure or weak. People who listen more than they talk and are careful about when they say what they think can get people to pay attention and do what they want without having to force them. Your silence shows that you are attentive, careful, and sure of yourself. Others know that talking without being asked is pointless because what you say is calculated and important. Silence also stops small arguments from hurting your authority. People often get into fights because they think they have the right to your attention or your response. When you stay quiet, you take away the power that other people have to challenge or control you. In a way, quiet becomes a protective barrier that also makes you look better. Also, when you do choose to speak, stillness might make your words have more of an effect. A comment given after careful thinking is much more important than a stream of reactive words. People pay more attention to what you say when they know that you mean what you say. Marcus Aurelius did this a lot in council. He didn't talk as much, but what he said had an impact on choices and gave him power. Even when you're with other people, quiet makes you stand out. People are attracted to people who are calm, collected, and thoughtful. Your calm demeanor makes people interested, curious, and impressed. It also makes people think before they speak, which often makes the conversation and their own behavior better. Seneca said, "Silence is a lesson in itself." You may teach without teaching when you learn how to be quiet. You change people's minds without arguing. You don't get respect by using force or words. You get it by showing self-control, wisdom, and presence. You illustrate that actions speak louder than words by remaining quiet. You show strength, self-control, and good judgment. And when you do finally speak, your words are few, meaningful, and strong, like orders in their own right. Silence doesn't just damage other people, it also helps you. It keeps you from unnecessary arguments, uses less of your energy, and helps you stay in control of your feelings. In a world that always wants you to respond, staying quiet is a safe place. It allows you time to ponder, evaluate, and only answer when it's really important. Epictetus told his students, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen more than we talk." When you choose silence, you are not only winning battles outside of yourself, but you are also winning conflicts inside of yourself. Every time you don't give in to the temptation to react, you show self-control. You get stronger, more patient, and more clear. True inner serenity is built on these traits. Marcus Aurelius knew that letting other people's words and deeds have too much power over you might make you feel bad. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not the things that happen outside of it. Know this, and you will be strong." This Stoic truth is best shown by silence. When you don't respond, you keep your mind from being affected by anger, fear, or irritation. You keep your balance in a world that wants to make you angry. Seneca also talked about how quiet can heal. True happiness is to enjoy the present without worrying about the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears. Silence helps you stay in the moment, see things without judging them, and tune out the emotional cacophony of other people. It is not withdrawal. It is a deliberate cultivation of tranquility. Inner tranquility generated via stillness transcends individual well-being. It improves decision-making. You may see things more clearly when you are calm, not in a hurry, and not reacting. You won't be as easily persuaded. You won't make decisions on the spur of the moment, and you can plan ahead better. Silence makes your judgment better by getting rid of the noise that comes from being upset. Also, quiet teaches you how to understand other people's feelings and points of view. You learn more about what drives and defects in other people when you listen more and talk less. You don't react out of rage. Instead, you do so with understanding or careful moderation. This inner peace becomes a buffer in relationships, at work, and in everyday life, letting you make smart decisions instead of just reacting. Stoicism says that being able to regulate yourself is the best kind of freedom. Being quiet is a useful way to get that freedom. Every time you don't get into a fight, every time you don't respond to an insult, and every time you stay calm in the face of provocation, you strengthen your independence. You stay calm and don't let other people's whims and disarray bother you. In the end, quiet as a way to find inner calm is both safe and uplifting. It helps you save energy, stay clear-headed, improve your self-control, and build resilience. Some people may get angry or desperate and flail around, but your calmness is a safe place that no one can touch. In this manner, silence is not just a means to deal with other people. It is a lifelong habit that helps you find peace and strength. People start to admire you or fear you when they can't foresee you. Your silence makes everything unclear. They ask themselves, what is he thinking? What does she have in mind? Why aren't they doing anything? That stillness is heavy for them, making the room feel tense and uncomfortable. In that space, your presence is larger than life. Every gesture, look, or carefully selected remark means a lot more than it would if you were always talking. Power comes from mystery, and silence keeps that enigma safe. Marcus Aurelius knew that being careful and holding back might have an effect on others. He said, "Be like the cliff that the waves always break against. It stays strong and calms the water around it." Like the rock, your silence keeps your plans safe and keeps others from bothering you so they can't disrupt your peace. Epictetus said, "First tell yourself what you want to be, and then do what you have to do." When you learn to be quiet, you make sure that your actions are guided by purpose instead than instinct. People can't guess what you're going to do or control you because you move on purpose and with reason, not reaction. Discipline gives birth to mystery, and quiet is its home. Seneca said that not speaking can be a powerful thing. It is better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. In today's language, the less you talk, the more important you become. People often put their own worries, preconceptions, and adoration onto you, which can make them think you are more capable or have better intentions than you do. That projection makes you more powerful while keeping you out of unnecessary fights. Mystery also draws people in. The quiet individual stands out in social, work, or personal settings since they don't become involved in every argument or conversation. People lean in to learn, to guess, or to change things, but the curtain of quiet keeps your inner world safe. They start to think that your restraint has depth, wisdom, or strategy, even if those traits aren't obvious right away. Also, silence builds respect over time. Someone who talks, responds, or justifies all the time loses their power. A person who is calm, measured, and unpredictable makes others curious. Your silence sends a message. You are not easily swayed, understood, or controlled. That uncertainty generates natural boundaries. People learn to treat you differently because they can't count on your reactions to be the same every time. Silence also makes you a better leader and gives you more power over others. Leaders, negotiators, and strategists have known for a long time that giving up too much information too fast makes them less powerful. By keeping things secret, they force others to show themselves first. Your quietness makes the people around you be patient, think things through, and plan carefully. This gives you a small but clear edge. Finally, quiet as mystery turns your presence into power without being aggressive. You don't have to use words, threats, or displays to get your way. Just not talking, being calm, and not reacting can change how people see things. People may adore, fear, or wonder about you, but no matter what they think, it raises your status without a fight. Silence is not empty. It is a fortress, a mirror, a lens, and a magnet. It keeps your thoughts safe, shows others who they are, saves energy, earns respect, and creates an air of mystery. Silence is the custodian of power, and mystery is power. Words can be broken, bent, or ignored. But what about silence? You can't deny silence. It makes the arrogant nervous, the manipulator angry, the aggressive person humble, and it keeps your peace. Marcus Aurelius stated, "Don't do it if it's not right. Don't say it if it's not true." Sometimes the most honest and compelling thing you can say is nothing at all. Not being quiet is not being empty. It is a sword that is hidden in the dark, a shield that can't be broken, and a mirror that shows people their own defects. Talk when you need to, but remember, you didn't say anything, and they felt everything.